For over 1,000 years, the ponies of Equestria and their neighbors celebrated an age of peace and prosperity, a true golden age where all nations were able to prosper, and war was nearly unheard of. But it was not to last. It started with the return of Nightmare Moon after 1,000 years of imprisonment. While she was stopped by 6 friends, the world still took notice. Further threats like the god of chaos, Discord, the changeling invaders, the former ruler of the Crystal Empire, and the being locked in Tartarus itself, Tirek, tried to threaten the peace, but they were each struck down. But as the years went by, trade between Equestria and the Zebra Empire began to sour. The planet was running out of the precious resources that were needed. Diplomacy broke down and gave way to war. A war for the very resources of the planet. A resource war for which there could be no winner. Celestia tried to broker for peace, but after Littlehorn she abdicated the throne to her sister Luna, and the Zebras just increased their attacks and their resolve. The 6 friends who had faced so much evil became the ministry mayors, placed in charge of maintaining the government. It was from this turbulent time that Stabletech was built, a company built out of the desire to save ponies as the threat of annihilation grew. I was one of the first to be hired, and after the first stables were built, I was put in charge of figuring out a way to save ponykind. Sometimes I wonder if we deserved to be saved. Had we lost our way? I didn't know, but I resolved to make sure that only the best of our species could be preserved. So that's when I started Project Legacy. Doctor, I'm getting reports from Stabletech. They're saying that Protocol Omega has been activated, a scientist said as she turned to look at a dark blue-furred unicorn stallion. What are your orders? Close the stable door, the stallion said. But sir, not all the ponies who are assigned to the stable are inside, the scientist protested. Omega is very clear. We are to close the stable up before the mega spells can hit us, the stallion said gruffly. Are the subjects ready for transfer? Yes, sir, the scientist said nervously. Good. Then go upstairs over Mare. Do your duty, the gruff stallion said. There should still be enough ponies for our purposes. Yes, sir, the mayor said and galloped out of the room. The stallion just shook his head and turned to look at the 6 tubes, each containing a developing foal. He pressed a button on a console, and they slid without waking up into pods, and magical energy enveloped them. Without another word, the stallion opened up another pod and laid down in it, closing his eyes as the same magical energy flowed through his body. The end of the world came as we had feared, but Project Legacy was ready. And even if it took centuries, that legacy would be born into a new world. Ponies would one day look back on my actions as necessary. We built it to use pre-existing genetic material to populate the world after the end. We had always hoped that it would prove unnecessary and our creations could live ordinary lives on the surface, but we were wrong. Protocol Omega, the order to close the stable door and prepare to wait for the all-clear, a fate that I did not even dare face myself. I was going to help build the new world. That was to be my destiny, my purpose, and my legacy. I did a lot of things I'm not proud of. I hurt ponies that trusted me. I chose to consort with the underworld to get my hooves on what I needed for Project Legacy. Do I have any regrets? Yes, I have a few. But at the same time, I stand by my decisions. Maybe history will yet vindicate me. Once I am awake, I will make sure that I build Equestria back up, no matter what the cost. There is no justification needed. After all, we were at war at the time. I don't have to justify my actions to anyone, especially not to you. Because war never changes. But war can change a pony. 200 years later, the day of sunshine and rainbows. The pod that the gruff pony had entered opened up. He got to his hooves and went to check the other pods. They contained now older ponies, each with blank flanks. He smiled a little and went to a nearby terminal and put in commands, setting them to each open at different intervals over the next 10 years, starting with the youngest and ending with the oldest. Sleep well, my daughters. "I will make a place for us in this brave new world," he said as he opened the door to the stable beyond, and left. The fillies still slept soundly, not knowing that the world above them had just changed for the better, and that they would have a role in changing it once again. They were a legacy that they would only remember in the memories implanted by their creator, for even after 200 years, some connections transcend even time and space. Those 6 young ponies slept soundly, not knowing of their destiny. Soon the youngest of them would awaken, and the world would never be the same again. Their home long abandoned, but still defended to ensure that no one could possibly disrupt the true experiment of the stable. Nothing was ever going to be the same again once the door opened once more. Project Legacy's goal was finally in sight. The awakening in Stable 112 would begin soon enough, and new heroes would rise from the ashes of the old world.